right now on 5 on your side at 10.
Weather whiplash. After a chilly morning Tuesday, we're timing out thunderstorm chances later this week.
Tonight, hitting home. Team coverage of how the conflict in Gaza is affecting families here. A daughter trapped.
I'm not gonna lie, it's a little, yes, it's nerve-wracking. It's a nightmare over there.
A local family desperate to get her back to St. Louis. This as a woman born in Missouri dies while shielding her son from bullets.
Tonight, at least 11 Americans are dead. More U.S. citizens could be missing as the fighting intensifies between Israeli forces and Hamas. Thank you for joining us. I'm Ann Allred.
And I'm Mike Bush. More than 1,200 people have died in the fighting. A vast majority of the victims are civilians. Tonight, unrelenting airstrikes continue as Israeli ministers order a complete siege of the Gaza Strip following this weekend's surprise attack by Hamas. The Palestinian militant group is now threatening to kill hostages for every new civilian home in Gaza bombed without warning.
Tonight, we're hearing from the father of a Missouri native who was one of those 11 Americans killed by Hamas, and he says she died protecting her son. According to our NBC affiliate KOMU in Columbia, Deborah Matthias was born in Boone County. Her father, Ilan Trone, is a former professor at Mizzou who now lives in Boston. He says he was on the phone with his daughter when she told him she heard gunshots.
And then she reported broken glass. And that was really the last we heard from her spoken. The next we heard was from her son saying, hey, Metu, they're dead.
Matthias' husband was also killed in that attack. Their 16-year-old son, Rodom, was under their bodies, covered in blood. Incredibly, Troen and other relatives kept his grandson on the phone through text, helping him hide for 12 hours from Hamas militants with a bullet wound to his stomach.
They at one point set fire to all the houses with the expectation that if there were any survivors, they would run outside and they could shoot them.
The teen is recovering tonight at a hospital and is expected to live.
A Chesterfield family is desperately seeking help from our elected officials in Washington. Their daughter, who is on vacation in Israel, can't get out, and her fiance has now joined the fight.
I'm not gonna lie, it's a little, yes, it's nerve-wracking. It's a nightmare over there.
These are sleepless nights for Lyndon and Earlene Anderson from Chesterfield. Their daughter Morgan sharing harrowing videos from a war-torn Israel.
She had to run to a bomb shelter because the sirens went off. And there's just a intensity. I'll admit she's terrified.
Morgan and her fiance Jake embarked on a journey to Israel just last Wednesday. It was a getaway after a joyous occasion.
They got engaged last Wednesday in front of the Jewel Box.
A graduate of Westminster Christian Academy and Webster University, she converted to Judaism.
She fell in love with the religion. It was her ideal. It worked for her.
But now, amidst the turmoil, Morgan faces this ordeal alone as Jake, a reservist with the Israeli Defense Forces, answered the call of duty.
It was hard for her at first, but there is this intense need to protect the homeland. Israel is just a tiny little country the size of Rhode Island in the middle of a massive Middle East.
It's nerve-wracking because, I just like to go over there and either just get her out.
And that's Morgan's goal, to find a safe way out of Israel. Her parents desperately hoping for help from some of our elected officials.
Of course there's hostages, and that's more important. We've got to get the hostages out. But then could you help get the remaining Americans out of Israel?
Now, I briefly texted with Morgan tonight, and she wants to emphasize there are so many worse situations than hers right now. We connected with the Andersons and Senator Eric Schmidt's office tonight, and they're hoping to help find a way to get Morgan out of harm's way. The family reached out to me because they saw our special last week on anti-Semitism, Race, Listen, Learn, Live. You can stream it right now on 5+ and YouTube.
It's been a scary few days for a Missouri church group. They were in the middle of a Holy Land trip when the war broke out around them. 5 on her side's Tracy Hinson has the story of how they got out of Israel and what they want international travelers to know.
And between canceled flights and closed border crossing, the past 24 hours have been a scramble for members of Darden Prairie's Morning Star Church. They are in Jordan now, a place they expect to be safe from conflict. What started as a joyful pilgrimage to Israel turned into an urgent call for help.
Had fired a bunch of missiles into Israel.
It was early Saturday morning when the news hit home.
At about 1 a.m. on Saturday, one of the members, Kevin Darnell, called.
He missed it, but when he got back in touch, he heard what was happening.
I know they heard sirens. I know there's a lot of concern.
Flights were canceled. The group needed to get out.
The size of that country, if it's 40 miles away, I think 40 miles is basically me in Lake St. Louis to the city of St. Louis, and that's about half the country. So you're very close to fighting wherever you are there.
Not knowing quite what to do, on a Sunday, he called a friend who got the group in touch with Senator Eric Schmidt's office.
And the first time you call out to a U.S. senator, one of 100 people in the entire country, you don't expect immediate results. There was no lag. It wasn't make a call and 5 hours later you hear back. It was minutes between phone calls. It was just absolutely amazing.
Senator Schmidt's staff providing some much-needed assurance for the group overseas and important help with paperwork.
You actually have to ask the government to intercede in your benefit when you're out of the country. You can't just assume that they're going to do anything. There's a law saying that the U.S. government cannot interfere with you unless you ask.
All right, now hopefully you never have to use the crisis intake form issued on the Department of State website, but one you should fill out before any international trip is the Smart Travel Enrollment Program, or STEP.
Tracy, thanks. Tonight, the White House is lit in the blue and white colors of the Israeli flag in solidarity with one of the United States' closest allies. In a statement released hours ago, President Biden is vowing to work with the Israeli government on the hostage crisis. The president spoke with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Sunday, pledging his full support of the government and people of Israel. A U.S. carrier strike group is now moving into the region. U.S. aid is also on the way, but a full-scale American response likely won't come until Congress is back in session and a new House Speaker is elected.
The first shipment of military assistance, including munitions, began to move yesterday and will arrive in Israel in the coming days.
This administration must also make clear that harming any American will result in the wrath of the United States.
Missouri Congresswoman Cori Bush is drawing criticism from within her own party by suggesting the U.S. should stop funding the Israeli military and its occupation of disputed territory. The Anti-Defamation League called the timing of the Congresswoman's remarks tone-deaf, heartless, and beyond reason. We'll continue to follow the latest developments on Israel, both on air and online at KSTK.com. You can also get updates on the 5 on Your Side app and 5+.
About an hour ago, the Florissant City Council unanimously approved a controversial plan that could turn a city park into a new subdivision. After taking several public comments, the council approved an ordinance giving Mayor Tim Lowry the power to transfer ownership of 30 acres of Coke Park to McBride & Sons for a new housing development. In return, the housing developer would give the city new parkland adjacent to Sunset Park. Many of those who spoke before tonight's vote opposed the plan.
You'll see this property, Coke Park, is probably worth 4 times the property McBride is offering you after accounting for the difference in acreage. I think that if Florissant needs newer housing stock, that's fine, that's your determination to make, but you need to make a good deal for Florissant.
The homes would range in size from 12 to 2,500 square feet, priced anywhere from $250,000 to $500,000.
A violent weekend in St. Louis. At least 4 teens were shot. 1 died during 2 separate shootings.
New tonight, our Robert Townsend reports police are still looking for the gunman and asking anyone with information to come forward.
Early Sunday morning, Uber driver George Thompson returned home to South St. Louis and couldn't believe what he saw on his street.
Police come up just as I got here, and by that time, it was just chaos.
Chaos after police say a shooting happened in the 3500 block of Compton near Gravois Park. Investigators say a 17-year-old boy suffered multiple shots and died at the scene. Paramedics took a 16-year-old boy to a hospital with a gunshot wound to his leg.
Come outside, watching his parents arrive, dropping, crying over kids.
Thompson shared these photos of the crime scene.
Had a lot of people running out of the neighbor house, and all kids, young, 15, 16, girls, boys.
Thompson says the gunfire rang out during a teen party at a vacant house used as an Airbnb.
They just went everywhere, and kids coming out yelling. A kid got shot in the head, dying on the bed. I'd even picked up a couple riders there earlier and took them home from the party.
Miles away, here on the city's north side, police are also investigating a separate shooting that involved teens. The two boys in this case, just 13 and 14 years old.
I'm shot, heartbroken.
Police say around 8 Saturday night, the 14-year-old flagged down an officer by Beckett Park near Page and Taylor. He told the officer he and the other boy had been shot down the street by Lewis Place and Newberry Terrace. As of Monday, 57 teens, 17 years old or younger, have been shot in the city. 9 victims died.
I just don't understand. The violence just needs to stop.
These kids, they have no idea what one little bullet can do to a whole family, to a neighborhood.
Robert Townsend, 5 on your side.
Police say the 2 teens shot on the north side and the 1 south side survivor are expected to recover.
Charges have been filed in a deadly shooting that happened just blocks from a chili cook-off in downtown Belleville. Tonight, Omarion Williams is being held on first-degree murder charges. The shooting happened around noon Saturday around North 1st and West B Streets. Aaron Metz died. Investigators don't believe the shooting was related to the chili cook-off. A security guard is now charged in a deadly shooting at a Ferguson gas station. Police say Maury Adams got into an argument with a customer at the Quick Trip on West Florissant around 1:30 Saturday morning. The customer and Adams both pulled out guns and fired shots. The customer died. Adams faces voluntary manslaughter and armed criminal action charges.
Keeping your child safe inside their own home.
There are so many hidden hazards that exist within the home.
The special house here in Missouri, designed to save lives. St. Louis University is upping its game for student athletes.
It sets a standard for the university and what kind of a program that it's going to be.
Tonight, we're taking you inside the new $20 million Champion Center built for Billikens.
Clear and quite cool right now, but there are significant changes coming later this week. Many of us could see some decent rain if that unsettled weather will stick around into the weekend.